Welcome. This is 8th lecture on thermodynamics, and in this video we will going to see Joule experiment, which is free adiabatic expansion of ideal gas. We will see adiabatic cooling and adiabatic heating effect, and finally I will discuss one important problem: why adiabatic is steeper than isotherms. This is schematic diagram of Joule experiment. Here we have one container which is separated into two different parts by a barrier. One part of this container is filled with gas and other part is evacuated so that this part becomes vacuum. Obviously this experiment is adiabatic, thus we need to make the wall of this container insulated so that there will be no heat exchange between system and surrounding. So this is the initial setup. Now we just need to remove this barrier so that this gas can expand against vacuum. So once you will remove the barrier, you will see the gas molecule fill all the container. So this is the experiment. Now see its consequence and the observations. As the process is adiabatic, there is no heat exchange between system and surrounding. Thus we can write dq equals to 0. Another point you can note, as the gas expands against vacuum, no external work is done by the gas because there is no force acting on it. Therefore, dW equals to 0. Now we know from first law of thermodynamics that dQ equals to du plus dW. Heat exchange is equals to change in internal energy plus work done. But for this experiment, dQ is 0, dW is 0. Therefore, we can get du equals to 0, which means there is no change in internal energy occur during this experiment. Let's suppose U depends upon temperature and volume. Therefore, we can write U as a function of temperature and volume. Thus, change in U, that is change in internal energy, is equals to del U del Tv into dt plus del U del Vt into dV. There is another point which was observed by Joule during that experiment. Temperature of gas remain unchanged, that is dt equals to 0. This is experimental fact. They observed this from that experiment. Now if you utilize all these factors, du equals to 0, dt equals to 0, which means this term will be equals to 0. Right? Del u del Vt into dV will be equals to 0. Now as there is change in volume occurred, initially gas was in the some portion of the container. After removing the barrier, it will hold the container, so the volume is changed. If this part is equals to 0 and dV is not equals to 0, which means del u del V T equals to 0. That is, rate of change of internal energy with respect to volume is 0, which implies U is independent of V. Similarly, if you assume that U will depend upon temperature and pressure, by following same procedure you can prove that del U del Pt equals to 0, which means U is independent of P. Now this is two important things. U is independent of E, U is independent of P. Now as del U del Vt is equals to 0 and du equals to 0, then from this equation we will have this term equals to 0. Now we know dt is 0, so del u del Tv cannot be 0. Right? This is 0, this is 0, so this term has to be 0. But as dt is 0, therefore in general del u del Tv cannot be 0. So from this simple experiment we can conclude that internal energy only depend upon temperature. It will not depend upon volume and pressure. And this is only true for ideal gas. Okay, for real gas situation will be different. You will find such questions in your examination that justify that internal energy of an ideal gas depends only upon temperature. then you have to argue with this Joule experiment. Okay. Now we will see adiabatic heating effect. How we can see this heating effect? Suppose we have a gas inside a container, and this container is insulated so that there is no heat exchange between system and surrounding. And if you compress this gas by moving this piston, then you will see the temperature of this gas increase, which means heating. How we can understand this? From first law of thermodynamics, we know dq equals to du plus dw. As this process is adiabatic, dq equals to 0. Therefore, change in internal energy is equals to minus dw. Just note down one fact: as we are compressing this gas, work is done on the system. And work is done on the system, which means dw is negative. Work done by the system is positive. Work done on the system is negative. So here dw is negative. As dw is negative, there is already a negative sign, which means this right hand side will be positive. Therefore, du will be greater than 0. We have just seen from the Joule experiment, we know internal energy depends upon temperature. So if internal energy of a system will increase, the temperature of the system will automatically increase. And it is true for the ideal gas. So increase in internal energy will increase the temperature of the system, which means a heating. Now see adiabatic cooling effect. In order to understand the adiabatic cooling effect, we again need a container which filled with a gas. And this time what we are doing, we are allowing the system to expand. Here we are not compressing the gas is expanding by moving this piston in right hand side. The wall is insulated so that there is no heat exchange between system and surrounding. To understand this cooling, we will start with again from first law of thermodynamics, dq equals to du plus dw. As this process is adiabatic, dq equals to 0. Therefore, du equals to minus dw. Here, gas is pushing the piston towards the right. Therefore, work is done by the system. And work is done by the system is positive. If you look this equation, dw is positive and it already contains a negative sign, which means du is less than 0. That is, internal energy of system is decreasing. So decrease in internal energy implies decrease in temperature. Temperature decreases during adiabatic expansion. Temperature increases during adiabatic compression. That's how we can achieve heating and cooling effect by adiabatic process. So far we have understand all these points physically. Let's try to understand it from mathematical point of view. For an ideal gas, we know PV equals to RT. This is well-known equation of state for ideal gas. Here P is pressure, V is volume, T is temperature, R is molar gas constant. If you differentiate this equation of state, we can write P dV plus V dP equals to R dt. Now, what is R? R is nothing but Cp minus Cv. So we can replace R by Cp minus Cv. The equation will stand like this. Just rearrange this equation, bring Cp one side, Cv another side. So we will have Cv dt plus P dV equals to Cp dt minus V dP. Just look at this expression, Cv dt plus P dV. It's look familiar. Let's see how. From first law of thermodynamics, dq equals to du plus dw. And what is du? Du is nothing but Cv dt. Right? And what is dw? dw is P dV. For a PVT system, work done is equals to pressure into change in volume. That is P into dV. And del U del T is nothing but Cv. Therefore, du equals to Cv dt. If you utilize the first law of thermodynamics, you can easily see this factor is dq. So if this factor is dq, which means this factor will be also equals to dq. So simply equate both sides with dq. As this process is adiabatic, we know dq equals to 0. Therefore, both left hand side and right hand side will be equals to 0. From this equation, we can write Cp dt equals to V dp and Cv dt equals to minus P dv. Just use these two equations, divide one by another, we will get dp upon P equals to minus Cp upon Cv dv upon V. Now in next step, we will integrate this. So integration of dp upon P is ln P equals to minus, and Cp upon Cv is nothing but gamma. So we can write it gamma. Integration of Cv upon V is ln V, and we need to add an integration constant. Let's call it ln constant. Here Cp upon Cv equals to gamma. Now we can simplify this equation and we can rewrite as Pv to the power gamma equals to constant. How? If you bring this term in the left hand side, then it will be ln P plus ln V to the power gamma, and ln A plus ln B is nothing but ln AB. So we can write ln Pv to the power gamma equals to ln constant. So we can drop log from both sides. We will have Pv to the power gamma equals to constant. This is very important formula, and this is called PV relation for adiabatic process. Now PV equals to RT. Therefore we can write P in terms of temperature and volume, which will be equals to RT upon V. And from this equation we can also write V in terms of temperature and pressure. So V equals to RT upon P. If we use this equation 4 and this equation 3, we need to just substitute pressure in equation 3 by utilizing equation 4. We will have RT V to the power gamma minus 1 equals to constant. And as R is also a constant, which means T V to the power gamma minus 1 equals to constant. And this is called TV relation for the adiabatic process. And if you look this expression, you can easily justify the heating and cooling effect. Why? While compressing the gas, V is decreasing. Volume of the gas is decreasing. Therefore, this part is decreasing. And in order to maintain this constant, you have to increase temperature. Otherwise, this whole factor, this left hand side cannot be a constant. If V is decreasing, you have to increase T. Similarly, for adiabatic expansion, V is increasing. So in order to preserve this constant, you have to decrease T. So during compression, temperature is increasing. During expansion, temperature is decreasing. Similarly, if we use equation 5, just substitute V from equation 5 into equation 3, and if you simplify, you will get T to the power gamma upon P to the power gamma minus 1 equals to constant. This is called TP relation for adiabatic process. Now we are in the final part of this lecture, and we will see one important problem which frequently asked in examination. Why adiabatics is steeper than isotherm? Adiabatic is a curve representing pressure and volume relation during adiabatic process, and isotherm is curve representing relation between pressure and volume during isothermal process. For an isothermal process, we can simply write PV equals to constant. How? PV equals to RT, we know. In isothermal process, temperature is constant. Therefore, PV equals to RT, T is constant, which implies PV equals to constant. If you differentiate this form, you can get PdV equals to VdP equals to 0. Therefore, the gradient of isotherm on PV diagram will be del P del Vt, and if you utilize this equation you will see del P del V is nothing but minus P upon V. Similarly, for adiabatic process you can write PV to the power gamma equals to constant. We have just derived this relation for adiabatic process. If you differentiate this, you will get gamma P dV plus V dP equals to 0. Gradient of adiabatic on PV diagram, which is equals to del P del T V, is equals to minus gamma P upon V. If you compare these two equations, you will find out the gradient of adiabatic process is gamma times gradient of isothermal process. As gamma is greater than 1, gradient of adiabatic is greater than gradient of isotherm, which implies adiabatic are gamma times steeper than isotherm. Suppose you are plotting this PV relation in a PV diagram. So you will have these two curves, one for the isothermal process, one for the adiabatic process. If I'll ask you which curve represent adiabatic process and which curve represent isothermal process, now it is very easy for you because you have seen all this calculation. Here this curve is steeper, therefore this curve must be for the adiabatic process, and this curve is for the isothermal process. So see you. Thank you.